Hi, I'm Dr. Veda. It's very nice to meet you. I'm really excited to be starting your couples therapy with you today. Now, I know we talked a little bit about my process already, but during this very first session, I do like to meet with you and your partner individually, just so that I can get a better idea about how you personally feel about your relationship and your role in it. And I find that that works a little bit better if we talk privately before we dive into the couples discussions, okay? Perfect. So I have my questions here that I'm going to be asking you. I'm going to take a lot of notes just so I can reference back to it and come up with the best plan to help you and your partner, okay? Perfect. So first question, not really a relationship question, but are you currently employed? Okay. Thank you. And how about your partner? Okay. Thank you. Now, if you had to think of just one big reason, what would you say brings you to couples counseling at this time? Gotcha. Okay. Now, I know you're currently in a relationship with your partner. What is the status of this relationship? Is it dating, engaged, partnered, married, separated? Okay. And how long have you and your partner been in this relationship? Gotcha. Have you ever broken up or separated during that time? Okay. Have either of you previously been married? Okay. And do either of you have children from a previous relationship? Okay. Do you have any children together? Gotcha. All right. Now I'm going to be asking you to think about your partner and your relationship more in depth, thinking about some qualities you like and dislike, okay? Take your time on these. It can take people a little while to really think about them. So first off, list 3 qualities you like most about your partner. Okay. Sorry about some of the outside noise today. I think they're getting ready for a parade. It's been pretty busy around here. It's not usually like this. Okay. And another thing. Gotcha. And one more. Thank you so much. Okay. Now, I will say, I'll keep my comments to a minimum, but it's a very good sign that you were able to come up with things so quickly that you like about your partner. A lot of times with relationships that are struggling, when people are frustrated, it can be a little bit more difficult to think and remember the things that you really like about this person you're with. So it's a good sign that you still focus on those things. Okay. What are 3 things that you like least about your partner? Okay, understandable. And gotcha. Yep. One more. Okay. Now, what are 3 things that you enjoy doing with your partner? Okay. Yeah, that's fun. Now, when's the last time you did that? Yeah, it's been a while. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Now, 3 things that you do not enjoy doing with your partner. And I'd sort of like you to stick to things specific about your partner with this. For instance, if you don't like grocery shopping, you're probably not going to like it with your partner. So that says more about grocery shopping than it does your relationship. Yeah, makes sense. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yep. And one more. All right. Thank you. Now, list 3 strengths that your partner brings to the relationship. That's always good to have. Okay, I'm glad you recognize that. And would you say that you do recognize these things in your relationship and express this to your partner, that you're happy that they do these things? Okay. And what are 3 strengths that you contribute to the relationship? Gotcha. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Good. And do you feel like your partner acknowledges that you contribute these things to the relationship? Okay. All right. Now I'm going to ask you to describe concerns that you have about different areas of your partner's life. Describe any concerns you have about your partner's friendships. Okay. How about work habits? Gotcha. Finances? Okay. Health? Gotcha. How about values? Yeah. So that's something that's happened over time? Gotcha. And how about your partner's coping style? How they act or deal with stress? When you have an argument, when they're upset? Okay. Now, can you list any red flags that you saw early in the relationship? Okay. And is this something that's still ongoing? Yeah. Right. Now, most people don't usually jump into couples therapy or couples counseling as a first resort. So, are there any things that you have tried previously to improve these issues in your relationship? Yeah. What do you think the barrier there was? What made that not work? Yeah. I'm glad you recognize that. It's very insightful and helpful. Okay. So I'm going to read a list of factors, and these are things that could potentially cause a stressful impact to your relationship. So if you could just tell me if these are things that affect your relationship personally. Alcohol use or alcohol abuse? How about drug use or drug abuse? Gotcha. Any employment concerns? Any physical health concerns? Okay. Legal issues? Right. Family of origin? That would be either yours or your partner's. Okay. Financial distress? How about any mental health concerns? How about infidelity? Okay. Any parenting concerns? Okay. How about any traumatic experiences either prior to your relationship or within the relationship? Okay. Any domestic violence within the relationship? Any prior domestic violence? Gotcha. How about lack of intimacy? Okay. And do you have any specific goals for couples therapy at this time? Okay, yeah. That's definitely one of my goals with every couple I work with, so we can definitely work on improving communication. All right. Now I have what is called a couples satisfaction checklist. I'm going to be reading off some different areas of your life, and I'll have you rate your satisfaction in these different areas of your relationship. It's going to be on a scale from 1 to 5, 1 being very dissatisfied with this, 5 being very satisfied with it, 3 is totally neutral, okay? So first, how satisfied are you with the degree of closeness, openness, confiding, sharing, and comforting in your relationship? Again, 1 is very dissatisfied, 5 is it's great. Okay. Expression of care and affection. Okay. Handling conflicts and arguments. Okay. expression of anger, criticism, or blame. Okay. Handling family finances. Gotcha. Handling of household tasks. Okay. Common interests in your social life. Okay. Degree of respect and admiration you have for your partner. Degree of respect and admiration you believe that your partner has for you. Satisfaction with your role in the relationship. Okay. Satisfaction with your partner's role in the relationship. Okay. And overall satisfaction with your relationship. Okay. And what do you believe your partner's overall satisfaction with the relationship would be? Okay. Thank you. Now, the last questionnaire I have is called the Solvable Problem Survey. I'm going to be reading you statements, and you're going to be rating on a scale of 0 to 5 how serious this is as a problem in your relationship. So if it doesn't apply to you at all, that's a 0. If it barely applies to you, it's a 1. If it really applies to you and it's causing a lot of issues, that would be a 5, okay? So 1, I would like us to talk to each other more. Okay. I would like us to have more independence. Okay. I would like it if my partner was more organized. Gotcha. I would like it if my partner spent more time with me. Okay. I would like my partner to do more to help out around the house. Okay. I would like my partner's relationships with our family to improve. I would like us to have more fun together. I would like to have fewer problems with my jealousy. I would like to have fewer problems with my partner's jealousy. I would like to be consulted on important decisions. I would like to have fewer problems with my alcohol and drug use. I would like my partner to have fewer problems with alcohol and drug use. I would like my partner to show more physical affection toward me. I want us to go out on more dates together. Okay. I want more help with the finances. Okay. I would want to receive more appreciation for what I do. Okay. There's an extramarital affair that we need help getting over. I would like it if our lives were less chaotic. I would like for my partner to treat me with more kindness and respect. Okay. I would like for my partner to share what he or she is feeling, thinking, or needing. I don't feel my partner listens to me when I'm upset. I don't feel supported by my partner. I'm afraid that my partner may physically harm me. Okay. All right. So much. Now, are there any things that you really want me to know that we haven't covered in these questionnaires? Any glaring issues with your relationship that we need to address immediately? Okay. Gotcha. And do you expect that your partner will see the same problems that you see? Do you think you're on the same page? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to look through this and compare it to what your partner is saying as well, so I can get an idea of how you both feel about the relationship and really what we need to work on first together in our next session. So I'll take a look at yours and your partner's, and then we'll go from there together next week, okay? All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much for your honesty and your openness. It's really going to be helpful in this process. I can see that you're very introspective and communicative. So I will see you next week and we'll get started for real. Okay. All right. Bye-bye. Hi, I'm Dr. Veda. It's very nice to meet you. I'm I'm really happy that you've come to me for therapy. I'm so excited to get started with your first appointment. So I know the real issue that you've been having, the thing that you really want to talk about is your past relationships. I know you're single now, but been struggling a bit. Okay. So we can talk about your current status, sort of what might have led to any issues with relationships that you're still having, how to move forward, possibly find healthier relationships in the future if that's what you're interested in. Okay. So in this first session, I put together some questions I'd like to ask you. A lot of these are going to be relationship based. So if you've had serious relationships in the past, okay. So we'll talk about that. We can also talk about close friendships because those are often indicators of how we may act in a relationship. So if some of these don't apply to your relationships, we can definitely think about it in a friendship context. Does that make sense? Okay. So I'm just going to start with the questions. I'm going to take some notes. Now I know that you are currently single. Are you currently seeking a relationship? Okay. Have you ever been married? Gotcha. And what is your sexual orientation, if you don't mind me asking? Yeah. Excellent. That can definitely put some things into perspective with your relationship. So, how many serious romantic relationships have you had? Gotcha. And how old were you when you had what you would consider as your first serious romantic relationship? Okay. Are you usually the person who makes the first move in courtship situations? Gotcha. And are you usually the person who ends the relationship? Does there seem to be a common reason why your relationships end, or is it kind of all over the board? Yeah. Well, it's good that you've kind of recognized that pattern, because now we can work on breaking it. Have you ever been the victim of abuse in a relationship? Okay. Gotcha. And have you ever been the perpetrator of abuse in a relationship? Okay. Gotcha. What do you tend to look for in a partner? What are some qualities or characteristics that your past partners might have had in common? Gotcha. Okay. And would you say that you go more for physical looks or personality? Gotcha. Is that the thing that usually initially attracts you to people? Okay. What is something that you have enjoyed about your previous relationships? Yeah, that's great. Okay. And something that you've disliked? Okay. And has that been sort of a trend? Yeah. Okay. And is there anything other than prospective partner that is currently preventing you from entering into a relationship? Gotcha. Okay. So this next set of questions is going to ask you about your most recent serious relationship. So again, just serious relationship. We're not talking about dating or flings, okay? All right. So how long was your most recent serious relationship? Okay. And when did this relationship end? Have you been dating at all since then? Okay. What was the reason that this relationship ended? Thank you. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how upset were you when this relationship ended? Yeah. Thank you. Did you ever live with this partner? Okay. What were some positives of this relationship? And some negatives? Okay. And can you tell me a little bit about your partner in this relationship? What were they like? Thank you. Okay. So now I have some questions for you again. But for these questions, I want you to think about whether the answer would be you, your partner, both equally, or neither of you, okay? So 1, who made active efforts to maintain connection? This can be in relationships or friendships. Do you find that it's mostly you or the partner? Gotcha. Who has given more time to the relationship in general? Okay. Who has asserted their needs about friends more? Who is willing to negotiate when disagreeing about family? Okay. Who listened more to the other's needs? Okay. Who proactively asked questions to understand the other? Okay. Who was more aware of the other's feelings? Okay. And who cared more about the other's health and well-being? So I think you probably see the trend there as well as I do. You're answering you for a lot of these questions. So exactly, it seems like a real imbalance in the relationship when you're the one making all of these efforts and your partner does not seem to be returning them equally. It should have more of a balance, right? Yeah. Okay, so we'll dig deeper into that later, but more questions for now. Who admits their personal weakness? Who talked about their struggles related to friends? Who expressed their feelings more? Gotcha. Who emotionally needed the other person more? Who was considered more rational and less emotional? Who used rationality to justify their viewpoint? Who distributed or decided how the money was allocated? Who had the final say about spending money? Gotcha. Who talked about their financial concerns? Who asserted their needs about money more? Okay. Who had more time to pursue their interests? Gotcha. Who got to use the time the way they wanted to? Who altered their habits and ways of doing things more to assist or please the other? Okay. Who was more likely to give in to the other's wishes when one of you wanted to do something that the other did not want to do? Who was more likely to shut down and not listen during an argument? Who kept silent more in disagreements? Who withheld emotions or avoided conflict more? Whose occupation is considered higher in status? All right. Who has higher education? Okay. Who generally decided whose friends to go out with? Gotcha. Who generally decided when to see family or relatives? Who influenced the other about which friends to spend time with? Let's see. All right, so we'll stop with that one. And I do have one more question here for you. Now, these are basically statements that may or may not apply to you when you're thinking about your response to conflict, okay? So I just want you to tell me whether this does or does not apply to you. Okay. At times during an argument, I think it's best just not to respond at all. During an argument, I keep thinking of ways to retaliate. Okay. During an argument, I think it doesn't matter what you say and stop listening. During arguments, it's important to me to point out inaccuracies or explain my position. I don't get credit for all the positive things I do in the relationship. Again, this is past. When my partner was upset, I think I don't have to take this kind of treatment. When I see a glaring fault in my partner, I can't recall my partner's positive qualities. I hate it when things in our discussions stop being rational. My partner can be pretty stubborn, arrogant, and smug at times. I let things build up for a long time before I complain. I don't complain until I feel very hurt. I often feel a sense of righteous indignation when my partner is complaining. I only bring up problems if I know I'm right and want my partner to accept my point of view. I point out patterns and analyze my partner's personality as part of my complaints. I do think it's best to withdraw to calm down, avoid a big fight, and not get my feelings hurt. I withdraw when my partner's emotions seem out of control. In a disagreement, I think it's important to determine who is at fault. In a discussion, I make general points instead of being specific about one situation or action. In arguments, I may be emotional, sarcastic, or call my partner names. Later, I regret this. It's hard for me to see my partner's point of view when I don't agree. When complaining to or about my partner, I use phrases like "you always" or "you never." My partner's too touchy and gets his or her feelings hurt too easily. To avoid blame, I have to explain why and how the problem arose. Just a couple more. When my partner complains, I feel like I just want to get away from them. When my partner complains, I have to control myself to keep from saying what I really feel. When my partner complains, I realize that I also have complaints that need to be heard. And in arguments, sometimes my response is to sigh or roll my eyes. Okay, thank you so much. Well, it definitely seems like you're very introspective and insightful about your current status and previous relationships and sort of what's led to you being single and what you want to do about it. So that's really helpful in therapy. I think journaling might be a really good tool to assist us during our time together. So we'll probably talk a bit about that next week, but for now, this gives me a really good starting idea. And next week, we'll pick up with the actual therapy portion, okay? All right, so I'm going to see you at the same time next week after I've had a chance to go through everything we've talked about, and we'll move from there. Okay, perfect. Well, I can't wait to start working together in earnest, and I'll see you very soon, okay? All right.